Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Thursday afternoon. I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as season. I got a word for you. Tap in. The enemy is lying to you, honey. The enemy is lying to you. He's trying to send you back. He is trying to send you back to that person, that place, that thing, wherever God has pulled you from. He is lying to you because he knows that you're bored. He knows that you're in isolation. He knows that you may be dealing with some emotions. Whatever it is you're dealing with, he knows this. And he's trying to get you to go back to the very thing that God has pulled you out of. Also, many of you are called to leave your families. Now, and again, stay tuned because this is going to branch off in different directions. This is not for everyone. No word is for everyone. I'll say this will be a confirmation for you. You'll be convicted in the form of a confirmation. Excuse me. The enemy has been trying to mess with my throat for like Satan, you don't leave me alone. You don't leave me alone. For the last 30 minutes, honey, he have been harassing my nerves in different ways where I can't get this word out, but I'm going to get this word out. So let's start with the individuals that he's trying to get to go back. All right, so many of you guys are in the wilderness. Some of you guys are just kind of in the season of stillness, right? And you feel like you're bored. You feel like God is not talking to you. You don't see the next move. You're kind of just there. You're kind of just lingering. But you have to be careful during those times because during those times, like the enemy will start to send back old memories in your head, trying to lie and make you think that a certain person has changed, like all that stuff. And now before you know it, you're sitting here thinking like, well, excuse me, you're thinking like, well, maybe I'll just call. If I call, then I can see if I hear something different in their voices. I'll be able to discern if they're really changing, right? Well, maybe if I just go back and visit, and maybe if we meet up, I can be able, the Holy Spirit will let me know if I heard God wrong the first time. All that foolishness and nonsense, right? That middle, that middle ground is a very dangerous place to be if you're not careful. Because again, there's so much emotions going on, right? There's so many times that God just goes silent on you for different reasons, and you will really think that you made the wrong decision. But here's the thing. Go back and look, right? Think about everything that had happened prior to God pulling you out of the situation. Think back on the narc abuse. Think back on the physical abuse. Think back on the facts that they were ungrateful. Whatever the situation was, think back on that time. That may have been a very, very dark time. Typically, before God pulls you, there's some things that go on sometimes, and it just kind of, it's like the icing on the cake where you know, like, this is it. I'm never coming back. This is it, right? So that's typically a very, very dark time. But what happens is once time go on, and then you enter this process, and then you hit this halt, you almost want to forget about those dark times. Don't forget about those dark times. Don't forget about the things that has happened to you before God pulled you out of that situation. So be very careful. Be very careful that the enemy is not trying to put stuff in your head to tell you about go back and visit, go back and make that phone call, go back and such. Maybe this person has changed, maybe they weren't that bad, right? Maybe if you pray for them, they'll become the person that God wants you to. All that foolishness. I'm telling you, the enemy is tricky. He will literally he will give you intrusive thoughts like that. And before you know it, like when you first get it, you're like, I'm not going, please. And before you know it, you're sitting there, and now you're sitting here wondering, like, we did have some great times. Every day wasn't bad. Honey, if that ain't the enemy, please be still. The enemy is literally trying to get you off of your game because these doors and these gates are here. Due season is here. So what better way than to distract you with making you think that something that God pulled you from is okay to go back to? If that ain't backwards, tell me what it is. Child, he is so petty. Let me just tell you. Got me sitting here thinking about some nonsense. You done lost your rabbit mind. So whew, child. Okay, so let's talk about those of you who God may be calling you to leave your family. Now, again, this can branch off in so many different directions. This can be your blood family. This can be maybe adopted family. I don't know. This can be a family that you that accumulated through marriage, whatever. But God may be calling you to leave your family. So, in addition to the Bible verse in regards to a prophet is not, oh my God, y'all, what's the verse? Please help me out. Without honor, a prophet is not without honor. I don't even know. Y'all know I be struggling with these scriptures on it. Something about honor in his own hometown. In addition to that, right? Because again, it's hard when you start elevating and then you have the same people around you. Y'all used to like go get chili beers together and play in the sandboxes together, and y'all went to free lunch together. Like, right? It's hard for people to see you on a certain level when God starts to elevate you. Right. So, and then many times the people who you grew up with, that's not your audience anyway. This is why a lot of the times you'll see when you starting businesses or ministries, it's hard to get support in that area. That's not your audience. Many times, not all, of course, right? That's not your particular audience. This is why you'll find that you'll have support in people many times who don't even look like you, right? Support in people online versus your own friend and your own family members who don't even log on and say, hey, but you got support from other people. So, also what I got in the down low was, listen, what was I watching yesterday? I don't even know, but it was Judge Mathis. It was a mother. I don't know. She may have been like, her daughter was, I think was like 25. So I don't know. She's maybe 40s, 50s, whatever. And let me tell you something. When you discover peace, it's like anything that constant arguing and bickering and yelling, it disturbs your peace so bad, right? So the TV was on downstairs, but I was upstairs doing something, and I kept hearing all this. So I came downstairs, I was ruckus, and I came downstairs, and the mother and the daughter were arguing back and forth. I think the mother had been on drugs during her childhood. The mother was a narc, but the mother was trying to get the daughter to understand that she had her own struggles, but they were just toxic for each other. Like, obviously they love each other, but the mother also had a problem because the daughter was close to the father, and it was a whole zoo. They were screaming and yelling and just, oh my goodness gracious. Listen. Sometimes love is just not enough, right? This can be in a romantic relationship, whatever. Sometimes love is just not enough. There is no price on your peace. So many of you, actually somebody's coming to mind now, because this who emailed me last night, so you may hear this, right? Many times what happens is we form these trauma bonds because, again, we all grew up in the struggle together, right? And even though it's toxic, right? The love is there, but everybody is just toxic. When God is ready to elevate you, he can't leave you in that very environment. Because think about it. When you're in there, even if you're healed, one of y'all is coming to mind. I know who just banging a car on there right now. God pulled you away from your family, right? And you're doing amazing things. And you said each time you go back, the minute you hit the door, honey, is drama, right? And then you get pulled into the drama. Then you turn back into the person that you thought you healed from. Now you leave all convicted because it's like, I should have never even went back. So it's like when God is ready to elevate you, he have to separate you. It is very, very hard to heal in environments that has traumatized you, because it's almost like, it's just like a ping pong ball. Like one day you're positive, the next day somebody triggers you, right? You're having a flashback about something, and then so it's that back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So many times God will completely separate you. Then he'll heal you. Once God heals you, you wouldn't even have a desire to keep putting yourself back in toxic environments, because it disturbs your spirit too bad. Until you hit a delay, and now you're sitting here thinking like, well, maybe my uncle, he no longer molests the kids in the family. What? Maybe my mother's no longer a narcissist. Maybe, no, they didn't go off to a healing season. You did. They're still the same. You're just lonely. Don't let the enemy keep tempting you to stay in an environment where God is truly trying to pull you from. Listen, there are some blessings that will not be released. There are some levels that you will not get to until you are obedient enough to leave the places, the people, the things, or the whatever, when God tells you to. And see, here's the thing. God will make it clear. He'll make it clear, right? He'll start convicting you first. He'll start letting like little things happen, and then you'll start to get annoyed with people or with places or with things. You start to get annoyed, and then God will start making it more and more profound to you. But many times you just don't have the strength to do it on your own, because it's like those unhealthy soul ties. So it's hard to leave. Then boom, something major will happen. It'll be a whole big blow up some kind of way. Everybody turn on you. You weren't even the person at fault, but it had to happen that way in order for you to really see, like, I gotta go, right? Maybe it was a divorce. Maybe it was a bad heartbreak. Maybe it was a bad betrayal. There are so many things that happen. And, people typically say God is not a God of confusion, which is absolutely true, right? God is God. But God will take some things and use it to get you on the right path. Not that he caused it, but he will use it to get you on the right path. I can't tell you how many people who have emailed me or I've read your comments and things that I even read on other people's sites and things like that. People who say that the best thing for their mental health was to leave the people who are most close to them. God will teach you how, if God is calling you, and one of you guys are going through this, God will teach you boundaries. God will teach you how to love from afar. God will teach you how to make things. And listen, in the day of social media, it's just like you never even left people. So you're sitting here thinking like, well, I'm going to leave my best friend of like 30 years. And child, with social media and FaceTime, it's like you never even left anybody. So if God is calling you, and you really feel like God is calling you to pull away from old people, old places, and old things, but you're really struggling with it. Some of you guys have been packed for 9 years. You still got them tubs in the corner. God done told you to leave. Every year when tax time comes, you gonna leave. Child, let me just tell you. All I want to say is this right here. I don't know who this is for, but the download came clear as day to share this. But I'm telling you, there are certain levels that God cannot advance you to. There are certain doors he cannot open. There are certain blessings that he wants to give you, but he cannot give them to you if you are being disobedient when he is calling you from a person, place, or thing. Ask for grace. He'll give it to you. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.